Hello everybody. What I want to talk about today is a really common period where after weight loss surgery where people can find it really challenging, okay? And so it's obviously a very broad topic in the sense that people can find different stages challenging and there's no one stage that's challenging for everyone. What I want to talk about today is that 2 to 4 month mark. And I say that as a kind of a broad time that people can really go, now what? And contact me or express online that they're struggling. In the early days, after weight loss surgery, you move through fluids, you go through the 2 month mark, 3 month mark, 4 month mark, it really depends. People can go, now what? I'm struggling. What do I do now? I don't want to keep drinking my shakes. I don't know how to get my protein. I'm really stuck in a rut. I can't eat anymore. And I call it like people have over-egged themselves or over-yogurted themselves. I don't know if anyone wants to put a comment in that they've experienced that. In the early days, if something sits well and it works and you're getting some good protein from it, you can have it all the time. And then you can get to a stage where like, now what do I have? And so that's a really key point. That's a key area that getting some support can be really beneficial, because what will happen over that 12 months is weight loss will slow. And what I mean by that is often in those early days, people get some really good weight loss after their surgery. Right about that 3 month mark, we do see it. It's very normal for your weight loss to slow down. So not only do we want to get more variety in the diet, and we want to learn how to build more fibre in. We want to learn how to eat out, eat when we're going on holidays, keep up our intake on the weekends, all of the protein intake on the weekends. We want to keep that protein intake, and I want people to learn how to get it in regularly and how to increase it over time, because increasing your protein a bit, and it comes often between that 3 and 6 month after surgery mark, you can increase it and will help your weight loss keep going. Because after that 3 month mark to that 6 month, that's when weight loss can slow down, and people can say, it's very normal for it to slow down, but we don't want it to stop. And we want to optimize your diet so it actually keeps on going. Because that first year after surgery is a wonderful period where we want to get to our goals, we get as close to it we can to our goals. Can you be losing weight after a year after surgery? Yes, you can, but we don't want to be leaving it too late. We want to, I call it massaging the diet and optimizing the diet to get the best weight loss. Variety is important, not only from a health perspective, but also from an enjoyment perspective. We want to get sweetness into our diet that is still good high protein sweetness. We want to get crunch. We want to get variety. We want to get fiber. And I know I'm repeating myself, because after weight loss surgery, it's very normal to have challenges going to the toilet because the volume of food you're eating is a lot less. To recap, that 14 months out of struggling with what to eat, being stalled for a month. So when we get that far from surgery, it's not unusual to stop. And I personally don't love the word stall because it's kind of like there's something negative. It's actually very normal. When we get further from surgery, when we look at tracking, we want to look at it over a longer period. What have you lost in the last month or the last 2 months, and what's your trends? And also, how close are you to your goals, okay? So protein will be key. Another question, is it normal after surgery to get pain and colic when you're going to use the bathroom from 1 to 2? Depends how close you are from surgery. Anytime you are in the early days to after surgery to medium days, I always say you want to be checking in with your doctor or your surgeon. So when you're talking colic, I would definitely be exploring that. I would say not really. In the early days, it's really normal to get some loose bowels. The gut is still healing and those things. So some people I don't want to go into the IBS side of things, but I would be very much exploring how often you're going to the toilet, are you getting enough fibre, getting enough fluid, how regularly, and all of those symptoms. I'd be visiting your primary care provider or your GP, okay? So in that first week or two after surgery, people can get some loose bowels and things can not feel comfortable, but people are generally, what I'd be hoping, really in close contact with their bariatric surgeon. So definitely check in with your primary care provider. Just want to go back to this other person, what to eat in the long term. People's level of variety that they need does vary. So some people need 5 breakfast options, other people need more, other people need less, for example. But we want to have lovely long lists of meals and snacks that really suit us, and that can take some time to build up. But protein is the star of those, and we add fibre in and we add variety and we add the things in that you need. So that can be a very common. So you might have hit that past a year. Now what do I eat? That is the work I do with clients in my boot camp. Protein. So there'll be several things that I would be looking at. I'd be looking at how much protein you're having currently. Is there room to increase it? How are you having a good spread of your protein? Are other habits coming in to your eating at that 8-month time that are holding you back? Snacking, grazing, cravings, night eating, drinking more calories? Have you started missing meals and those things? So if you were my client, there'd be a whole range of things that I'd be going through with you. And we would be doing step 1, let's do this, step 2, and step 3. Because chances are, at that point, 8 months after surgery, some old habits have come back. Protein may have drifted down. And what happens when protein intake has drifted down is carbohydrate intake has drifted up. And we need to eat more. Carbohydrate doesn't sustain us for as long, the carbohydrate foods. So we need to eat sooner, and we'll eat more calories in a day just to get satisfied with higher carbohydrate foods. So I can't say exactly what you can do, but I hope I've given you some ideas there of things to look at. But if you'd like to DM me and talk to me more, at the end of this, I'll be talking about how people can get support if they're interested in knowing more. Okay, and that can really stifle people, and that was the topic of where I started today. That's 2 to 4 months. It's a broad range, but it's where people go, now what? How do I move forward? How do I get more variety? How do I eat out? Because often in the early days, people don't eat out a lot, or they don't do lots of travel. Some people do. And then we start going, okay, well, I'm going to live my life. How am I going to handle these situations? How do I move into more of a fuller diet and get variety and get all that? And that's where I really work and help people. So it's about getting confidence. It's about knowing the what to eat and knowing how to build a diet and knowing how to assess a good snack and a good meal, and how to build a plate, how to build your plate, how to go to a buffet and put the foods on your plate in the right proportions, and how to eat it, and how to feel comfortable, and how to even go around Christmas. I talked a lot about how to go to a party and still have some of that treat food that you really enjoy, but also have some great protein food, and leave and feel like you had a great time. You've celebrated, you've been eating with other people, and everything's still great. So DM me if you'd like to know more about how I work. They sent me a DM and they said, I am 5 years from surgery or something around then. Have you got any content for that in your Instagram? And I went back and I said, well, it's actually the same. You know, the foundations that I want clients and people to learn in those early days are the same foundation of adding good protein, spreading your protein out, being able to observe your triggers for your non-hungry eating, being able to look at your eating patterns, put strategies in place. That when we know the foundations and we learn things well from the beginning, it can really help to how to maintain. When we're going down the road, and I call it like you got that going off track, you're going down your road after bariatric surgery, weight loss surgery, and everything's good for a while. Life comes up, it's going to throw you off course. You lose a loved one, you lose your job, or something stressful happens, or something great, you get married, we go off track, we drift off track. And I don't know if what they call them in the US, but we call them cat's eyes in Australia, and they're those little bumps at the side of the road that go bop, 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 bop. So if you fall asleep, they wake you up. So you weigh yourself every so often, or you take measurements every so often, or you put on that pair of pants every so often that tells you if you're still there, and you track your protein every so often. This is in maintenance. And they're those little reminders, drifting off track. Okay, I do X, Y, and Z. I'm back on track. But we don't beat ourselves up. We have compassion but where your parameters are and how to bring yourself back on track. So I hope that analogy makes sense. Oh, wonderful, beautiful. Lost 70 pounds, but 2 months only, 1 pound. Did surgery 6 months ago. Okay. If you're my client, as I mentioned, I'd be going through protein, regular eating, all the things I mentioned before about some of the old habits coming back. And I call it massaging the diet. And we do a few different things with our macros, and we can often get it started again, as well as activity. And when I talk about activity, I don't mean, my joke is getting the Lycra on and the leg warmers, and I'm showing my age. I mean just building activity into your day that you enjoy, into your week. And it's lovely to find ways to move the body that you love. And what I mean by that might be walking with a friend. It might be bowling. It might be running around the park with your kids or your dog. It might be dancing around with your children if you're a mum that can't get out. I'm a solo mum, so I do really interesting little things with my little person. It's a lot easier now to do activity, but we used to go to the park and I'd time him running, and he'd love being timed, and then he'd time me and tell me how slow I was and all that. But I was moving my body with him and building it in. But it's doing things that you really enjoy, because that's when you're going to keep doing it. So it doesn't have to be the gym, but if you love the gym, go for it. So thank you very much for that. So I think that's it today. If you want to know more about my boot camp, it's called the Bariatric Nutrition Boot Camp, and it is for people before or after weight loss surgery. And my big passion is people knowing how to live well and eat well after weight loss surgery. Feel free to DM me as well. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Bye.